Probably I can. Are all of you familiar with the Unconference? Yeah? Who's newcomers to the Unconference? You newcomers to the Unconference, so welcome. So I'm Geoffroy. Every year they ask me to do the Unconference share, which is probably the most difficult sharing session because you need to motivate people to participate. And actually, it's a very nice session. It's one of the best. Yeah, it's the best. I'm disturbed because he's taking a picture. Because it's your session, so that means you do what you want with the session. The goal of the session is somehow to have a space where you can discuss the subject, the topics you are interested in. And you're the one selecting the topics. You don't need to have written the papers or whatever. There is nothing which is pre-written. We decide together what we will do. And I'm just trying to fill the gap in the meanwhile people are entering. So I can tell you the story of the LBD, sorry, of the Unconference. The first one was in 2012, ISMIR in Bordeaux, when Fabien Couillon and Carlos were sharing ISMIR in Porto, and they decide to have something like 1 or 2 hours where people can just discuss, and it's partly organized. That means you the one deciding on the topics, and but it's partly organized because the way it is done is that I send you a link with the .storming website where you can propose discussion subject, and then you can vote for the one you want to discuss. And the way it is done usually is that depending on the number of people, so for the moment we are not a lot, we split in several groups and we have several discussion topics which are discussed jointly. And then in each discussion group, there is someone that will be a bit like a secretary that will take note of what happened in the group and report to the one that were not in the group. Okay. And usually we do that in 2 rounds of, let's say, 30 minutes. We have a 30-minute discussion on your first favorite topics. Then after that, we report in front of everybody what was discussed, what were the decisions, and then we go for another round of discussion on another topics or potentially the same topics if you really like these topics. Okay, so that's the process. So that's the part which is organized. The only other thing which is organized is that I did a slide and I create this already this website. So I guess you went there. So that's the current most selected topics of discussion, and some of them has been proposed in a whole session, such as the open review discussion, the code of ethics discussion. But feel free to add whatever subject you're interested to. I know that Gustav is here only for the first part of the session. So if you want, as we had last year, to have a round of discussion concerning safety and human rights for ISMIR in Abu Dhabi, you can only select that in the first round, because otherwise Gustav and I guess Gus Xia is still there. So that's only for the first round, okay? So what I propose for the moment is that you look at the various topics and you vote. You can choose 3 topics, and then we will choose together which are your favorite one. Is that okay for everybody? Any question? Okay. Okay, so we were supposed to have the discussion in the garden, you know, with the nice place and a lot of space. Unfortunately, because of the rain, it was not possible. So we will do the discussion here. And I guess we will do like we did last year in San Francisco. So that means we will just have groups in the opposite corner of the rooms, and I know it's not the most convenient. A table will probably have been better, but that's we will do with what we have. So we will split in 4 places, and depending on the subject, we will assign 4 different groups. Okay, so that's the current subject. I'll let you see that, and in order to. So I let you a couple of minutes to read them, to vote them. So that's the URL. I can make it bigger if you want. Oh, so good. No. So that's the URL. I send it in the Slack. Yeah, it's probably better if I put it again in the Slack, because otherwise it's a long number to write. Okay, so that's in the generic channel. Okay. It's also possible that I will group some of the subject because some of the questions are somehow similar and can have joint discussion, such as the one related to generative AI, the one related to the use of LLM. I guess that those can be combined into so I can probably read them so that you all know. So there was a proposal, I think that was from you, Pedro, on the ISMIR Code of Ethics, which I think is important. Another one about safety and human right consideration for Abu Dhabi, I think. Copyright issue in generative AI, cultural diversity in generative AI, that can probably be combined. Should the ISMIR Code of Ethics include guidelines for the choice of the sponsor of the conference? So I guess that was a DESER proposal. What will be the next research direction in music research? Okay, so that's a subject from last year. This is in case you just want to openly discuss about the future of research. Next direction in intelligent instrument and HCI in MIR. Inclusivity through catering for dietary restriction and transparency when it's not possible. Okay. Use of LLM in writing and reviewing papers. Is the move to open review okay for everybody? So that means this year we move to open review. Are you happy with that? Did you change the way you write papers? You review papers? You write your review paper? Are you polishing your language? Are rectify flow the ultimate solution? Okay, so that's the one I propose. It's just to tell you if you want to have a discussion on a specific aspect of diffusion models, you can. But we need enough people. So that was a subject from last year. So I think the jam session was perfect. ISMIR, what do you think of the fact that ISMIR papers were included in the main program this year? Was it good? Was it not good? What do you think? How can we deliver a real value to end user, musician, composer, DJ, leveraged by MIR? I'm curious how GPT tools are reshaping the everyday work of people. So that's probably can be combined with LLM. And then there was Maximus P. Patch Show and Tell proposal. Okay. That's okay for everybody? Okay. So did you all vote? Yeah? So if I just take the ranking which is on the website, probably we can have a group on ISMIR Code of Ethics. Okay? That will be led by you, Pedro? Yes? Okay. So that means you will discuss, but what is important is to have someone noting everything, you know, taking notes and then reporting. Then I guess we can have another one on safety and human right consideration. Is that still okay this year, or are you okay with your current information? So please vote. Who wants to have safety and human rights? 1, 2, 3. The slides are not up to date? Okay, it's 1. Yeah, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that can be a group, so that's enough. Maybe we can combine copyright issue in generative AI with cultural diversity in generative AI and the question raised by DESER. It's not exactly the same, no. Okay. Who wants to discuss the choice of sponsor for ISMIR conference? How we choose that? Please raise your hands. So that's 1, 2. No, that's not a lot. Who wants to discuss ISMIR in the main program? That's 1, Florence. Sorry. Yeah, you can take several names and click several times if you want to increase your ratio. That's what I did for the rectified flow. No, actually, it's not true. Then there was the open review, IUAP. So I think it's important discussion. Who wants to discuss open review? 1, 2, 3, 3. Is there a fourth person? No, it's only 3. So for the moment, we have ISMIR Code of Ethics, Safety, and Human Rights. Okay, let's try another one. Copyright issue in generative AI combined with cultural diversity. Yeah, that could be how many people? Okay. Okay, so I think we can do that because we are not a lot, so we will do only 3 groups, okay, which will be quite a bit imbalanced. So we do one group with ISMIR Code of Ethics, so that will be over there because that will be a large group, okay, so you name a secretary. Who's leading copyright issue in generative AI, cultural diversity? Who wants to lead it? Please raise your hand. Who wants to participate? Okay, so you're the you're the team leader. So you can sit over there in this place so that you have opposite direction. And then the last one was, what was the last one? I forget. God. Human rights. Okay, human rights is here in the center. Okay, can you lead it, Gustav? Yeah. Okay. So we go for half an hour discussion. That's okay for you? And then so that means. You start the discussion, so it's free. It does not need to be constructed. It's here, it's really a placeholder for you to discuss, okay? Of course, you can go in the bars to discuss, but here is the place where everybody, even if you don't want to go to a bar, you can discuss freely about any topics, okay? So feel free to openly discuss these topics, okay? So we meet back at 45. ISMIR Code of Ethics there. Here we have safety and human rights, and here we have generative AI, cultural diversity. I try to do a map.
Perhaps you just want to do an announcement or something like that, or we'll take it up.
Okay, that's someone from KAIST. I've got a wallet from someone. Apparently, it's from KAIST. If you find someone who has waste his wallet, no.
Is the lost and found still open? I'll take it up there.
Yeah, probably. Thank you. No. It's yeah, no. Ping. So it's exactly 30 minutes. So I know you are all in an interesting discussion, but in case we do this break at 30 minutes, because in case some of you want to go to another group or create another group, it's possible. Okay, so that's the game. If you want to pursue the discussion in the same group, there is no problem. Then you can pursue the discussion. In order, if some of you want to discuss about something else, I added the two next popular topic here. So if people want to talk about should the ISMIR code of ethics include guidelines on the choice of the sponsor of the conference, this will be there, okay? And if you want to discuss LLM in writing, reviewing, open review, ISMIR and ISMIR, which is a big umbrella, you can sit next to the camera, okay? But you're not obliged. If you are well in your group, just pursue the discussion, okay? I'll let you go. And if it is the case, we will only report at the very end, okay? So let's say then we meet back at 6:15. Okay. We, I'm sorry to interrupt all your interesting discussion, especially very important discussion. Oh, I mean, they are all important. But we will have to wrap up soon. And I would like, since we had a double session each time, to have the time that you can all have the time to somehow tell the other group what you've been talking, what you found about and stuff like that. So probably we will start now, because I know you have many things to say there. We will maybe start now the wrap-up. Is that okay for you? And okay, just to clarify, the goal of the Unconference, I was telling the first year in 2012, we did this Unconference, and this create links between the participants of the session that pursue the discussion, that wrote papers on that. You remember probably, Ashley, they were the Unconference papers, you know, that were published. So I really, if you want to pursue the discussion, and I think they are the three here are really important, I really motivate you to pursue the discussion. So probably then we start to wrap up. So I will ask each group to somehow just summarize the discussion that there has been. Let's say we have maybe 5 minutes per group, because otherwise and I know this one will be difficult to wrap up, and I know, Lee, that you can be very long, so try to wrap up everything in 5 minutes. Okay? It's okay? Are you okay to start, Lee, with your group? Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, you come here, so that's fine. Yeah. Or if you're not ready, we can ask with the generative AI group. Are you ready? No? Okay. So Pedro, is your group ready to wrap up? Yeah, please.
Cool, thank you. All right. So, as I say, the discussion from our group was about the concerns really that came from the decision about the choice of Abu Dhabi as the conference. And this sort of, it really breaks down into these two components. One, which is decision-making around the 2026 conference, and there's a series of recommendations that have come from that, mostly about better informing the potential attendees about the safety concerns that they face, and there has been work already done on that. There's been some discussion on that front about expectations and concerns that we've heard, but as a unconference group, we sort of felt that the stronger or the more valuable contribution is to provide better decision support for organisers going forward, so that we don't get this situation that we had with 2026, where there was a decision made and it felt a little bit like an announcement which was in contradiction to a code of ethics, or at least in some degree of conflict. So the discussion, and I will hand this to this full list here, I'll save everybody time, but to sort of say that we want to try and provide more ability to have the communities affected by the organisation venue to be able to be better involved in the decision-making process. And obviously, you know, communities like represented by ISMIR and other communities need to be involved in that decision-making process. Is there anything I've missed? Anybody? Is that a reasonable summary? Yep. Sorry, Daniel. Yeah, so thanks for Daniel. Just to say that what we expressed, the community expressed, some degree of frustration about the degree to which the decision-making process was revealed to us, how much that was communicated, and really, you know, that it was something that clearly we're still grappling with in the second unconference on this issue. I think that's a reasonable summarisation. I'll let other people weigh in. But this list of bullet points, I'll edit into a more, reinterpret my hieroglyphics here into something that can be, you know, further substitute. Thank you.
So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Lee. Thanks a lot to the group. So yeah, I mean, knowing that the second unconference on these topics and that we all feel very concerned about that, yeah, it will be probably right to pursue this work and really write some statement from the community point of view, you know, and of course the fact that the selection should probably better consider this should have been done, but I mean, yeah. That's something to improve in the future. Okay, thank you. Next group, probably Xavier in your group, Pedro. Okay. So because you're the one that are supposed to create the code of ethics, so that's probably a good connection.
Okay. Hello. So I was just taking the notes, and now I'm trying to make this very brief summary. So the first thing we discussed was that we probably should redefine the scope of the code of ethics, think about a modular group of documents, including the connection with the code of conduct of the conference, and also related to other established open science principles. That we already have a current version of the code of ethics, but probably we should step back a little bit, and this could be more, we should advance to a more general, timeless, and also accompanied with an introductory statement explaining the goals, anchored on transparency. There's also one discussion of making a position statement, but probably this is a different thing. And we also talked about that the current document had some important concerns, but a bit focused on the generative AI concerns, and that we should think of as ISMIR, not another machine learning conference, but a different kind of community. So try to look into all. One important thing that we talked about since the beginning is that we should try to defend the perspective of research and try to drive research and promote creativity, and with a positive messaging, but try to enforce the research point of view and not the industry point of view, or being concerned about the industry problems.
Yeah, well, what we also discussed was that maybe a current version of the Code of Ethics contains 2 specific statements that then led us to maybe confront some legal statements, which this might be an issue because we are recommending or suggesting some ways that might be against what law says, but this is also conflicting because each region will have their own legalities, and this opens up more discussion. So that's why we were thinking of, as Antonio was suggesting, doing this step back, and maybe that Code of Ethics could be more of a general statement and then maybe point out some particular cases or specific guidelines for these more sensitive cases. Even it was suggested that maybe if we touch upon too much on the law side, maybe we can get some external expert lawyer to actually review that. But of course, again, this is complicated because of the diversity on the law. And we also discussed about ethics, legality, morality not being the same thing. And of course, this all conflicts, but that's the situation.
I believe we are summarizing more or less correctly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I was thinking, because most of the time you will not write the papers because after the conference. So an easy way to pursue the discussion is actually we have a Slack of MIR, okay? Not the ISMIR 2025, we have a Slack. What about each of the group, each of the one who has a report, create a channels, Unconference, subject, blah, 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 Unconference. So we have 3 channels, and you put exactly the report to start a conversation with the whole community. So that is done. We have a trace of that. We have something written, and then everybody can participate after that. Would we agree to do that? Great. Benjamin, can you sum up the GenAI group?
Okay, so actually we discussed 3 topics. So these topics of copyright issues in GenAI, the topic of cultural diversity in GenAI, and the topic of the ethics relative to the sponsorship. So for the copyright issue in GenAI, so I tried to summarize. I hope I didn't forget a few stuff, but first, we discussed quite a lot about the current state that we are in the society, so the fact that there are significant legal disputes that are already ongoing, so that all the legal stuff is not completely ground and clear yet, but there are claims of fair use, for instance, that are being discussed. As you know, in a general sense, we feel like using a track without permission is not okay, basically. Training on a track without the permission from authors is not okay. One of the main issues is that the AI-generated content may compete with the author's job or income, so it's a pretty big deal. And there was also a few questions about how we could what's the status of the research. So the thing is that attribution research, so attributing the original tracks to produce tracks is inherently hard, and it's a very young research field, so there's not many things that have been done yet, but it's something we might want to encourage. Also, I think the common understanding was that researchers should ideally get the licenses for the data they train on. Even it might be very difficult in many cases, especially when the size of the data is large. So this requires a lot of discussions with a lot of people, which might be impracticable. Also, it's been mentioned that we are kind of covered a bit for the research community by the exception in copyright law for research purposes. However, we should be aware that putting out research this way might lead for a private business to reproduce them as much as they can, and then they could, actually, our work could actually lead to something that is actually in the end infringing copyright, and that no longer is in the research exception. Sorry, just browsing. Okay, so it was mentioned also that there do exist today paying solutions that get content for training with a license, with a permission, and also solutions to label your models as ethical with an external audit, etc. So, and a few concerns were raised. For instance, if ISMIR was restricting a lot on what's ethically okay to train, maybe it would muzzle some kind of research. So there still need to be some kind of flexibility for researchers to be able to push towards new models. And yeah, and that's it, I think, on the copyright issues. Also, on the cultural diversity, well, we spent less time on that, so I only have a few remarks. The first one is that the academic research should keep promoting cultural diversity for generative model, as it's been doing for years on, in general for all the tasks. We should be quite transparent and quite humble in the generative model papers about the cultural bias that might be encoded in the model. We should encourage, as a community, all the new studies related to generation. An idea, for instance, that was thrown was to encourage with a special tract or a special initiative to propose cultural diverse data sets for training that are copyright clear. Okay, and the last topic on the sponsorship. So first, so there was like arguments on both sides here. So first, the decision of excluding a sponsor is quite difficult to decide. We have to balance the unethical parts that might be at the core of the business of the sponsor with actually the impact it has, or the importance it takes within his business. So that's something really hard to do. Also, it was mentioned that accepting a sponsor does not necessarily mean that we endorse all of its activities. And that having these companies with us is also a way to discuss with them and maybe to raise awareness on this kind of ethical problems. However, it was mentioned that accepting a sponsor is not necessarily just taking the money. It's not, well, it was argued that it was a donation, but counter-argued that there is publicity from the conference, so, and there are like corporate announcements around this, so it's not completely, well, it's debatable whether it's a donation or more. Also, the years where the conference really puts forward one sponsor or two sponsors really on top of it, of the other ones, it could be tricky if there are ethical problems related to this sponsor. So maybe when this is the sponsor structure, it should be, sorry, I'm very young, almost finished. And also, yeah, we might want to write boundaries. I think we talked about this a bit. Some strong boundaries to not be crossed in some kind of ethics chapter. And finally, yeah, and finally, it was also thrown out that ISMIR could also clearly disclaim that it's not endorsing basically all what sponsors do. But yeah, I think that's it, more or less. Sorry for the extra time.
Okay, thanks a lot to all. So that's the end of the Unconference. We will have a new one next year, of course, led by Xavier, Sarah. Good luck. Thanks to all, and really, I motivate you to create this Slack channel to pursue the discussion. I think I will be happy to read and participate to all of them. So I thank you all. I take this microphone also because I have to run up to catch my plane. So I will not have the time to tell hello, to say goodbye to all of you. So goodbye.